As we continue to look at winning those battles, it's a struggle. God said it would. He ain't lying. Life is a struggle. And we're going to have many, many, many battles. And we saw last week people of great faith. I mean, Jonathan, I can't even imagine what was going through his head. I've got a sword, I've got a spear, and I have an armor bearer. Let's go take him out. But that's what he did. And who was with him? God was. And he said, I can do it. David, young man, armor wouldn't even fit him. He had no sword. He had a slingshot with 5 stones and said, I can take out that giant. Who would have that kind of faith? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego facing one of the most powerful kings this world has ever known, and Nebuchadnezzar, and saying, I don't care what you do. You can throw us in that fiery furnace. If we die, we die. But if we don't, God can save us. Either way, we're not going to bow down and worship your stupid idol. I'm paraphrasing. That's faith. Daniel, I'm going to pray. How many of you would have closed the doors? It's against the law, right? Come on, I'm going to at least close the door. I'll keep praying, but I'll do it in quiet. No, that's not Daniel, is it? Daniel said, I'm going to keep praying. I don't care who sees. He was arrested. He was thrown in the lion's den, and God saved him. How big is your God? How powerful is your God? How many have that kind of faith? I'm not raising my hand. That is a tremendous faith. That is a strong faith very few people have. And if you don't have that kind of faith, you might as well quit right now. No. That's not how it works. How many of you drive a car? Raise your hand. How many knew how to drive a car before you ever got in a car? So did you sit there and say, okay, I don't know how to drive, so therefore I will never drive? Is that how it works? I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the understanding, I don't know how to do it, therefore I will never drive. How many of you own a house? How many had cash? Just sat there and plopped it right down and said, here's all the money for that house. Well, that's one of the games the kids play in the van all the time. Drives me crazy, but hey, they're kids. They point at houses. That's my house. That's my house. That's my house. Oh no, that's my house. As we go along these houses, and I always ask them, do you have any idea how much those cost? And I get some funny answers. They say like $100. yeah, $100 a second for the next 30 years is more like it, right? They have no concept. How many of you had cash to put down on your house? Therefore, you don't have a house, right? If I don't have the money right here and now, I'll never have the money. Is that what you said to yourself? No. Life is about growing, isn't it? Life is about learning. Life is about accumulating, right? So just because we do not have the faith right now, our faith is so strong we can stand up to anybody, say anything, do anything, I can overcome. Therefore, if I don't have that kind of faith, I'm not even going to try. No, what does God say? However much faith you have, even if it's the faith as a mustard seed, I can work with that. We can make that grow into a mighty tree that all the birds can come and roost in. I can make that faith grow. And that's what we're going to see today. Don't get in your head. You have to have the faith of Jonathan, the faith of Daniel, the faith of David, the faith of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in order to be powerful for God in this world. Don't get that in your head. If you have that kind of faith, stand back. God's about to do something great. But even if you have a little bit of faith and you're willing to let it grow, willing to let God work with you, He can make that faith grow, can He? And He can still use us in mighty, mighty ways. So we're going to, again, see 2 people today. Last week we saw King Saul and his son Jonathan. Today we're going to look at 2 judges. Everybody please turn to Judges chapter 4. And the first guy we're going to look at did not have faith. And he also did not seek more faith. He said, I just don't have that kind of faith. And we're going to see what happens to him. Can God use a person who has little faith and isn't willing to have more? Oh, yeah. But we're going to see what happens. And that guy's name is Barak. B-A-R-A-K. Barak. Let's all go to the story. In chapter 4 of Judges, we're going to start in verse 1. And it says, And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead. This is the pattern, isn't it? Israel would do okay as long as the judge was alive, but as soon as the judge died, that next generation said, what? I ain't got to follow that stuff. I don't have to live that way. What's right is wrong and wrong is right, and they went away from God, and then God would have to punish them. And He did it again here. In verse 2, And the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Horseth of the Gentiles. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. Again, this is the pattern of Israel. They would turn away from God, God would punish them. And I want you to know, if you go through the history of Judges, the punishment gets more and more and more as they go along. And in this case, 20 years. I want you to think about being under somebody's oppression for 20 years. That's a long time, isn't it? What was 20 years ago? Got to do the math. 2018. 1998. Was 1998 a long time ago? Can you imagine from 1998 to now being under oppression? People just taking your stuff, walking into your house, stealing everything, taking your children, telling you where you can live, can't live. I mean, it was horrible on them. And finally, they cried unto the Lord. Why didn't they do it earlier? But finally, they cried unto the Lord, and the Lord says, okay, I will deliver you. Verse 4. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, who judged Israel at the time, and she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came unto her for judgment. And she sent and called Barak, the son of Abinoam, out of Kadesh Naphtali, and said unto him, Hath not the Lord of God of Israel commanded? Now I want you to see here. He had already commanded before. He had already told Barak what he wanted him to do. He wanted him to take his men and go and attack and defeat the oppressors. To go take out Sisera, take out those 90 chariots, take out the army of Canaan. He wanted him to do that, and what was Barak doing? Nothing. It's like, I don't want to do that. Why do you think Barak didn't want to go? How many go for scared? He didn't think he could win. Who did Barak not trust? I didn't trust God. Okay, God tells me to go. I don't want to go. I could lose. They're big. They're strong. They have so many people. I don't have that many. How can we possibly take them? I'm not going. So God had Deborah call him into her office and say, hey, dude, hasn't God commanded you to do this? He has said to you, again there in verse 6 about the middle, go and draw toward Mount Tabor and take with thee 10,000 men out of the children of Naphtali and of the children of Zebulun. So take from your tribe, as well as the neighboring tribe, Zebulun, take 10,000 guys and go wipe them out. Now, this is a moment for Barak, isn't he? He's been reprimanded. He hasn't been doing what he's supposed to be doing. And what is he going to do? Now, God is just. God is good. He tells through Deborah and says, verse 7, And I will draw unto thee to the river Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army, and his chariots and his multitude, and I, God, will deliver him into thine hand. So he gives them a promise. Hey, you don't understand. I told you to go, you didn't go. Have faith in me. Go and you will win. Yes, he will bring his multitudes. Yes, he will bring his iron chariots. Yes, they will come to you, but you will prevail. You get that personal promise from God. How many are ready to go now? Not Barak. Look what he says. Verse 8, And Barak said unto her, If you will go with me, then I will go. But if you will not go with me, then I ain't going. Now, hold on here. Why doesn't he just trust God? Who was going to go with him? God was going to go with him. God was going to give him the victory. And it was going to be an ultimate victory. He was going to wipe them all out. He was going to kill Sisera. He was going to basically release the people by himself, and he was going to be the new one to lead the people. And what did he say? I don't trust God. God's not enough. I need you, Deborah, to go with me. If you go with me, I'll go. But if it's just God, I'm not going. Therefore, Barak died. No, he didn't. See, that's the thing. He had little faith, and he basically told God, my faith ain't growing. I'm not going to seek more faith. I'm not going to get more faith. If Deborah comes with me, I'll go. But otherwise, I ain't going. God is not enough. So you know what happened? Deborah said, all right, I'll go. But know this. You're not the one that's going to kill Sisera. A woman is going to kill Sisera. And Barak's like, whatever. You coming? And he did go. And guess what happened? Anyone want to guess what happened? You know the story? What happened? Yes, he and his little 10,000 band of men went and routed them. Destroyed them. In fact, there was not a man left of the Canaanite army, and Sisera ran. Sisera ran for his life, and he went to a woman's tent and said, please, I've been running. I need some water. Please, give me some rest. And she says, what? Come on in. Come on, relax, have a drink, lay down, take a nap, you'll be fine. And then she goes and takes a tent peg and drives it through his head and sticks him to the ground. That's a woman. And then guess who comes up? Barak says, where's Sisera? He goes, he's in the tent. He's actually nailed to the tent. He's in the tent. And there he was. Who got the victory? That woman got the victory. So I want you to note something. Just because our faith is small, and just because sometimes we're going to fight God and our faith is still going to be weak, will He still give us the victory? But will we miss out on some blessings? That's the key to this one. So now we go to another judge. This one's name is Gideon. And unlike Barak, when God comes to him, he too has very little faith. But he is at least willing to work with God and say, Lord, increase my faith. And we're going to see how great his victory was. So let's go now to chapter 6. And we'll start in verse 1 of Judges chapter 6. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them in the hand of Midian 7 years. Now, you say, hey, 7 is less than 20. Oh, but the Midians were far worse than the Canaanites. Yeah, the Canaanites would come and, take their food and take things. Oh, the Midianites, they wouldn't let them do anything. Any food they had, they would just come and take it. Any weapons they had, came and take them. Take their children, take their wives. The Midianites were horrible to the people of Israel. For 7 years this went on. And is 7 years a long time? That's still a long time, isn't it? And finally they called unto the Lord. Verse 2, and the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel, and because of Midianites, the children of Israel made them in the dens, which are in the mountains, and caves, and strongholds. They actually had to go up into the mountains just to protect themselves, just to hide their stuff, hide their food, hide their families from the Midianites. And so it was when Israel had sown that the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites, and the children of the east, even they caught up against them. And they encamped against them, and destroyed the increase of the earth till thou came unto Gaza, and left no sustenance for Israel, neither sheep, nor ox, nor ass. Took their livestock, took their food. People were starving. This is a problem, isn't it? Verse 5, for they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for multitude. For both they and their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it. And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord. And it came to pass when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord because of the Midianites, that the Lord sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt, and brought you forth out of the house of bondage, and I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, and drave them out from before you, and gave you their land. And I said unto you, I am the Lord your God. Fear not the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you dwell, but you have not obeyed my voice. So he first comes to him and says, oh, by the way, let's do a little reminder here. Why were the people of Israel having so much trouble? Because they were bad. God delivered them. God provided for them. God did everything for them and blessed them and loved them. And they said what? I prefer those other gods. And they'd worship those other gods. They had groves where they would worship those gods. They got so bad that they would actually sacrifice their children to those other gods. And what does God say to that? I can't have that. You need to repent, people, and then I will send a deliverer. And who is that deliverer? Let's look at verse 11. And there came an angel of the Lord and sat under an oak, which was in Ophrah, that pertained unto Joash the Abiezrite. And his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. If you're going to grind some food to make some bread, you had to hide it. Because if they found out about it, they'd come and take it. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. Now, how would you like somebody to come up and say that to you? What is Gideon doing at that time? Hiding. How is that a mighty man of valor? You have to remember this. God sees you as you will be, not always just as you are. How does God see you? He doesn't see us as weak. He sees us as He's going to make us. He sees us as we can be. And that's how He saw Gideon. He wasn't kidding. He saw him as a mighty man of valor. But his faith was so weak. How could that be? Let's find out. Verse 13. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And here we're going to have Gideon come up with 3 reasons why this angel's nuts. So what are you talking about? Mighty man of valor. What do you mean come and deliver us? What do you mean about all this? First of all, let's get something straight. You haven't been here for us, God. If God is God, if God loves us, then why are all these bad things happening? And where be all His miracles, which our forefathers told us about, saying, Did not the Lord bring us out from Egypt? But now the Lord has forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. This isn't fair. And we can do that. When God comes to us and says, I will help you, sometimes our first response is, no thank you, where you been? If you haven't done anything for me now, if you haven't been helping us since then, why should I believe you're going to help me in the future? But what's the reality? Has God been with them? In fact, why are all these things befalling them? The prophet said so. The prophet told them. Why are all these bad things happening? Because they keep doing bad. That's why. When was God not with Israel? Never. He was always with them. Always watching out for them. But in His mind, no. God's not there for me. God doesn't do anything for me. God has never done anything for me or my family. Forget it. Does that sound like a great man of faith? How about the next one, verse 14? And the Lord looked upon him and said, Go in thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee? Okay, smarty pants. You don't think I'm there for you? I'm going to use you. We're going to deliver them now. Let's go, Gideon. Verse 15, and he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewithal shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least of my father's house. So what's excuse number 2? You got the wrong guy. I can't do anything. I am too weak. And when we say we are too weak, who are we also saying is too weak? God. You haven't been here for us, and I can't do it. Even with your help, you're nuts. What does the Lord say to that? This angel says, verse 16, the Lord said unto him, Surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. And he said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me. And what's his third thing? Well, give me a sign then. I don't believe you. You haven't been here for us. You haven't helped us. I'm too weak. I'm too small. I'm the wrong person. But if all this is true, give me a sign. And what did the angel say? Okay, let's do it. Tell you what, I'll wait here. And Gideon went and he made some food. Gideon brought it out and placed all the food on the rock. Problem was, it wasn't cooked. And he said to the angel, well, if I'm supposed to do this, then cook it. The angel said, no problem. So he made fire from the rock, cooked up everything, and they had a nice meal. And then Gideon knew, God is with me. What do you want me to do? And he says, okay, first step. I want you to go and I want you to knock down all the groves. I want you to knock down all the statues. All these idols of Baal that these people are worshiping in this area, I want you to go in the night, I want you to knock them all down. And Gideon says, I got this. So he went. He and his buddies, they went and they knocked down all the things. And he's feeling pretty good about himself. Until the next morning. When who shows up? The Midianites. Along with all the others who worship them in that area. And they come along and say, who knocked all these down? And everybody's like, he did it. Gideon's like, wait a minute. Yeah, he did it. He's the one that did it. And I love this guy that stands up in the crowd and says, hold on, before you do anything to this young man, let's get something straight. You claim Baal is a god, right? Yeah. You claim Baal is powerful, right? Yeah. Well, let Baal take care of him. They're like, yeah, let Baal take care of him. By the way, did Baal ever take care of Gideon? Did he ever destroy Gideon for what he had done? Did he ever punish Gideon for what he'd done? No, because Baal's a what? A little g god who's a nothing. He doesn't exist. But that's where he became known as Jerubbaal, which means Baal will punish. He never did. Anyways, so he's feeling pretty good about himself until the Midianites say, okay, we've got some rabble-rousers, we've got some problem makers, so let's send in the army. And they did. Let's jump down. Verse 33. Chapter 6, verse 33. Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together and went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and Abiathar was gathered after him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, who also was gathered after him. And he sent messengers to Asher and to Zebulun and to Naphtali, the other tribes. And they came up to meet them. And Gideon said to God, if thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as you have said, behold, I need a sign. So all the Midian army, Amalekite army, all these kings of the east, they all gather around, and there are a multitude. It is like sand to the sea. You're looking down from the top, you see the entire valley filled with tents and animals and spears and swords and chariots and all the rest, all laid out there in front of you, and they're coming after who? Gideon. They're coming after the Israelites because of what he had done. But you notice, was his faith stronger this time? Yeah, it was stronger, but he said still, I need a what? I need a sign. I need something to embolden me. I need something to help me here. Please, Lord, strengthen me. Give me a sign so I know that this is what you want me to do. Let me know that you're going to give me the victory. Let me know this is true. And here is the sign I want, verse 37. Behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor. And if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as you have said. So he took the fleece, a piece of wool, put it on the floor, on the ground there. And in the morning, what happened? The fleece was wet. But all the ground around was what? Dry. Now, you're Gideon. And this is my editorial here. I don't know if you know much about science. But if you put a sponge, for example, out there, and it's very dewy, you would expect the sponge to be what? Wet. And actually, you would expect the ground around it to be fairly dry because the sponge has done what? Absorbed it up. So I'm wondering, I'm going to ask Gideon this. This is on my list of things to ask people when you get to heaven. Anybody else have that list, or am I just nuts? I'm just crazy. All right, that's fine. I'll take that. Because it's like, okay, Gideon, did you think this through when you asked this? Because I get this picture in my head of Gideon going, oh, wait a minute. That could have just naturally happened. that was really a bad sign. So what does he say? Lord, don't get mad, but can I have a second sign, please? This time, I'm going to put the fleece out there, and I want it dry and everything around it wet. Use my brain this time. And he did. And he put it out there, and guess what happened the next morning? The fleece was stone dry, and everything around it was wet. Now that's a sign. He got the sign right. So he said, what? Let's go. I know the Lord is with me. What has God done here? He has taken a man of little faith. He has taken a man with little power. He's taken a man who did not believe, and he said what? I will strengthen your faith. If we ask God to strengthen our faith, will He strengthen it? Yes, He will. Can we ask God for a sign? Yes. It's okay. We'll get to some you shouldn't ask for in a minute. But it's okay. Ask God. Seek His wisdom. Seek His understanding. Seek His strength. Because it is best when we are strong in Him, aren't we? So, how do they get ready for battle? Let's jump down to chapter 7. Chapter 7, verse 1. Then Zerubbabel, who is Gideon, and all the people that were with him rose up early and pitched beside the well of Harod, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them by the hill of Moreh in the valley. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands. Now, how many of you would say, hold on, I think you misspoke, God. I think you meant too few. What do you mean I've got too many for us to win? That's what he said, isn't it? You have too many people for me to give you the victory. But that's what he meant. You've got too many. You need fewer. So, why? Lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand hath saved me. If I let you go with all those people, you'll think that you won the battle. I want to make it clear, not only to you, but all of Israel. I want to make sure everybody understands that they can trust me and only me, and not themselves. So, you got to get rid of some people. Verse 3. Now therefore go to, proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whoever is fearful or afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead. And there returned to the people 22,000, and there remained 10,000. That's over 2/3 left. So go tell everybody, if you're scared, just go home. 2/3 left. Leaving them 10,000, which, by the way, was the same number that Barak had, remember? He had 10,000. Can God win with 10,000? But God said, no, still too many. Still way too many. Verse 4. And the Lord said to Gideon, the people are yet too many. Bring them down unto the water, and I will try them for thee there. And it shall be that, of whom I say unto thee, this shall go with thee, the same shall go with thee. And if whomever I say unto thee, this shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. So just go down to the creek, and I'll let you know which ones go, which ones stay. So he brought down the people unto the water, and the Lord said unto Gideon, every one that lappeth the water with his tongue as a dog lappeth, him shalt thou set by himself. Likewise, every one that boweth down upon his knees to drink. So see how they drink the water. The ones that just put their head down in there and just lap like a dog, get their face in it, put them on one side. And the other ones that take their hand and kind of looking around and drink it this way, put them over there. By the way, which one would you be? What would be your inclination? How many take their hand? Yeah, I'll put the face down in the water. It's kind of weird. I've been thirsty before. Hand's good. So what happened? Verse 6. And the number of them that lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, were 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink. So, he said what? You have, of 10,000, you have 300 over here, 9,700 over here. If you're Gideon, what are you saying? 9,700, 9,700, 9,700. Oh, 300. He gets the 300. The 300 are the ones he gets to take with him into battle. That's half the amount King Saul's going to have later on. He has only 300 to go against the entire Midianite, Amalekite, Kings of the East army. But who's in charge here? Who said he was going to give them the victory? Who's still a little scared? How many of you still be a little scared? Fleece or not, I'm still a little scared. So God's going to do one more thing. Sometimes we can ask for a sign, and sometimes God will just give us a sign. Sometimes God will just give us a glimpse into what He's doing so that we are not scared. So our faith is strong. And that's what He's going to do for Gideon. Let's jump down to verse 9. Judges chapter 7, verse 9. And it came to pass that same night that the Lord said unto Gideon, Arise, get thee down unto the host, for I have delivered it into thine hand. I want you to go down, and I want you to walk around the camp down there. Okay, that camp. What with all those people down there? Yeah, the enemy. Yeah, go walk around the enemy camp tonight. I want to show you something. Verse 10. But if thou fear to go down, go thou with Phurah, thy servant, down to the host. So if you're scared about walking around on your own, just take one friend with you. Now again, if I'm Gideon, I'm like, can I take like 300 with me? Yeah. One's not going to make a difference, but hey, if you're scared, again, what's God doing? He's helping them. If you're scared, just take one with you. Because I want you to see this. I want you to know what's going on. Verse 11. And thou shalt hear what they say, and afterwards shall thine hands be strengthened to go down unto the host. Then went he down with Phurah his servant unto the outside of the armed men that were in the host. And the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the children of the east lay along in the valley like grasshoppers for multitude. And their camels were without number, as the sand of the sea side for multitude. And when Gideon was come, behold, there was a man that told a dream unto his fellow. This is what God wanted him to hear. So they snuck in kind of around the back, and they're listening in on a conversation in somebody's tent. And one man said to the other fellow, Behold, I dreamed a dream, and lo, a cake of barley bread tumbled into the host of Midian, and came unto a tent, and smote it that it fell, and overturned it, and the tent lay along. So I dreamed that this barley bread came rolling down and knocked over a tent. That's a strange dream. You know what's very strange about it? Verse 14. And his fellow answered and said, This is nothing else save the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel. For unto his hand hath God delivered Midian and all the host. He gave some a dream, and he gave everybody else what? An interpretation. This is Gideon. The barley roll is Gideon, and he's going to come down, and he is going to destroy us all by the hand of God. Who did he put this in the mind of? All the people. This spread like wildfire. Everybody started talking about it. Everybody started fearing. Everybody started quaking that Gideon is coming like a barley roll. And he's going to come down and he's going to destroy us all by the hand of God. And this was in the heart of all the Midianites. And this is what God wanted to see. He wanted Gideon to see. He wanted to see that God had prepared the hearts of the people to lose. See, we always think the enemy's strong. We think the enemy's got something. They've got numbers. They've got strength. What do the enemy have? They have nothing. Because we have who? Who knows that? Who knows that we've got the only true God? They do. And God put fear into all of those very accomplished, very strong men. That Gideon was coming. And they had no chance of winning. So what happened? Verse 15. And it was so, when Gideon heard the telling of the dream and the interpretation thereof, that he worshipped and returned into the host of Israel and said, Arise, for the Lord has delivered into your hand the host of Midian. There was no doubt now, was there? It was just pure faith. Whatever God wants us to do, it's going to work. God has already prepared it. How far has Gideon come in this story? A young man sitting there in hiding place, grinding some wheat, saying, God has abandoned us. God doesn't love us anymore. God has given up on us. We are weak. There's nothing we can do. There is no hope. He's gone from that to what? Mount up 300 guys. We're going to take out the grasshoppers. We're going to take them all out tonight. And that's exactly what happened. You remember how the battle went, right? What was each man carrying? One sword, one pot, and a candle. And a horn. Yay! That's it. That's your battlement. So what did they do? They put the light in the pot, and they did what? On the count of the horn, They surrounded the camp with 100 on one side, 100 on the other, 100 on the other side, and they yelled and they blew the horns and they cracked the things open. The light came out, and all the Midianites did what? Panicked. They're coming. They've come to kill us all, and they killed each other. And they all just got the sword and started hacking away because that barley wool, it's coming. Gideon's coming. The hand of God is coming. And they just started swinging because they were so scared. And they destroyed themselves. What can God do? Can He get 300 to kill hundreds of thousands? Yes. Because He is God. So what about our life, folks? What's our obstacle? What is our enemy out there? What is this thing that we're so afraid of? What is this thing that makes our faith so small? What have we got to do? Lord, help my unbelief. Don't be like Barak who says, I don't care what anybody says. I'm not going to trust just God. I need something else. He still got the victory, but he lost the what? The blessing. But what about Gideon? God worked with him. Little by little. You want a sign? I'll give you a sign. You want to see something? You want to see a glimpse of what I'm doing? I'll give you that. You want something? I will help you. But Gideon had to come along, didn't he? Gideon had to say, yes, help my unbelief. Yes, strengthen my faith. God did it, and He gave him a wonderful victory, and he became the next judge. He became the leader of Israel. And God blessed him mightily. What about us? Are we going to be willing to say, yes, Lord, I know my faith is weak, but Lord, help me. Now, let's talk a little bit about signs, though. Because in the New Testament, during the time of Jesus, everybody was looking for a sign, weren't they? Give us a sign. Give us a sign. We'll believe if there's a sign. What was the difference? Because God said, no, I'm not going to give you a sign because you won't believe it. And that's the key, isn't it? If we ask for a sign, we better be willing to what? Believe the sign. And by the way, do not ask for a sign that God loves you. Because what? He's already given you that. He gave His Son for you. What else do you want Him to do? He has shown you. Don't say, give me a sign, God, that you're powerful enough. That Son rose from the dead. Look outside. Look at the universe. Look at all He's created. Is God powerful enough? Don't ask for stupid signs. But if you do have a question, what God do you want me to do? Should I do this? Should I go do this? Should I be doing this? Should I? Yes. In fact, what does He say? If you ask for wisdom, He will what? Give it to you. But be willing to accept the sign. Be willing to accept the truth. Be willing to accept what He says to you. And then let your faith be strengthened. And go in that faith, trusting Him. And we can overcome what? Anything. God is on your side. Do you know that? Or are you like Gideon? No. God's not on my side anymore. God doesn't love me anymore. No. He does. And He wants you to do great things. He's got plans for you, doesn't He? Can you do it? If God's with you, you can. Is your faith weak? That's fine. Ask God for what? More faith. Ask God for more faith. Let Him strengthen you. Get into His Word. Talk to people. He will let you know. And He will show you that He's got it all under control. Trust Him. Right? And we do great things. So, I like this story because it reminds us that we don't have to have perfect faith. But we do have to be willing to let God strengthen our faith. Let God strengthen your faith each and every day. And trust Him. And go and do whatever God has called you to do.